During our 10th anniversary dinner, my wife handed me an envelope. Since you're too stupid to notice, here are photos of me with your brother. I choked on my drink. You're lying. She leaned in and whispered, check the dates. When I did, I realized our wedding wasn't the only ceremony that day, and my entire family was in on it. I can still remember the way the candlelight flickered between us, casting soft shadows across the table. The scent of aged whiskey and seared steak filled the air, mingling with the low murmur of voices and the occasional clinking of glasses. Delmonico's was dimly lit, elegant, the kind of place where people celebrated milestones. And that's exactly why we were there. 10 years of marriage. A decade. It was supposed to be a celebration. I had planned everything, made the reservation weeks in advance, ordered a bottle of the same wine we had on our honeymoon, even put on the navy blue suit Marissa once told me made me look almost handsome. I wanted it to be perfect. I thought it was. Marissa sat across from me, her red dress hugging her figure, her dark hair swept back from her face. She was always effortlessly beautiful. Even now, as she swirled the wine in her glass, watching it climb the sides before taking slow, measured sips. She hadn't said much since we sat down, just the occasional nod, the polite smile. I figured she was tired. Work had been stressful for both of us. I told myself she was just in her head, the way she sometimes got when she was overthinking something. The waiter brought our appetizers, and I tried to fill the silence with small talk. Remember when we came here the first time? I still think about that night sometimes. You wore that green dress, the one you said was too tight. Marissa gave a small smile. I remember. I think we even ordered the same wine. I raised my glass. To us. To 10 years. She hesitated for a fraction of a second before clinking her glass against mine. To us. The way she said it, soft, distant, it didn't sit right. I brushed it off, taking a sip of my drink. Maybe she just wasn't in the mood for reminiscing. Halfway through dinner, she reached in her purse and pulled out a small cream-colored envelope. Without a word, she placed it on the table, right in front of me. I frowned. What's this? Marissa folded her hands in her lap. Open it. There was something unsettling about the way she said it. Too calm, almost expectant. I picked up the envelope, sliding my finger beneath the seal, and pulled out a neat stack of glossy photos. At first, I thought they were old pictures of us. Maybe something sentimental. And then I saw it. Marissa, dressed in white, smiling. Not in our wedding photos. A different day. A different dress. And standing beside her, in a black suit, was my brother, Sam. The blood drained from my face. I flipped to the next picture. Marissa and Sam, holding hands. The next, Sam sliding a ring onto her finger. I swallowed thickly, my throat suddenly dry. My heart pounded in my ears, muffling the noise around me. What? My voice cracked. I looked up at her, my hands trembling as I gripped the photos. What is this? Marissa reached for her wine, took a slow sip, and then met my eyes. Checked the date. My fingers fumbled as I turned one of the photos over. July 12th, 2013. Our wedding day. I blinked, my mind scrambling to make sense of it. That's not possible. Marissa tilted her head slightly, almost like she was amused. It is. I stared at her, waiting for the punchline, waiting for her to laugh, to tell me this was some kind of cruel joke. But she didn't. She just sat there, watching me, letting the weight of it sink in. I flipped through the pictures again, my vision blurring. I don't understand. Her voice was steady, almost patient. I married Sam first. The words hit like a slap. My chest felt tight, my stomach twisting painfully. No, I shook my head. That doesn't make any sense. We got married that day. I was there. Our families were there, she nodded. Exactly. A chill ran down my spine. You're lying. She leaned forward slightly, lowering her voice. I'm not. My hands clenched around the photos. It was real, Michael. Sam and I were married first. Legally. Officially. Before I walked down the aisle to you. I felt like I couldn't breathe. I wanted to laugh, to call her insane, to demand answers, but my brain wasn't working fast enough to catch up with what was happening. I shook my head again, gripping the edge of the table. No, this is insane. My parents, your parents, our friends, they all knew. My mouth went dry. They were all at the first wedding. She exhaled softly, as if she were finally relieved to say it out loud. Your parents, your sister, my parents, your Uncle Mark, they all saw me marry Sam first. And then, a few hours later, they watched me marry you. I felt like I was going to be sick. You're lying. My voice was barely above a whisper. Marissa just gave a small, knowing smile. My hands trembled as I grabbed another photo, staring at it like it would change if I looked hard enough. Why? I finally asked. She took her time before answering. Because it was easier this way, she said. Because Sam and I made a deal. A deal. I could barely process the words. Marissa leaned back in her chair, studying me. You always thought Sam was the screw-up. The gambler. The one who never had his life together. I didn't respond. But what you never realized, she continued, is that he was always the favorite. I could hear my heartbeat in my ears. She sighed. Your parents adored him. They pitied you. I squeezed my eyes shut for a brief second. And you? My voice was hoarse. What did you get out of this? She tilted her head. Security. I forced myself to meet her eyes. Sam and I loved each other. But love doesn't pay off debts. She shrugged. He was drowning in them. Marrying you meant access to stability. Your family's name. Your money. Her lips curled into something that wasn't quite a smile. And you never even noticed. I felt my pulse in my throat. She reached across the table, her fingertips brushing against mine. Don't look so hurt, Michael. You got 10 good years, didn't you? I pulled my hand away, my stomach churning. The restaurant felt too small, too loud, too bright. I could hear people laughing, silverware clinking, the faint hum of the piano playing in the background. I needed to move, to leave. I stood abruptly, my chair scraping against the floor. Heads turned. Marissa watched me with that same unreadable expression. I looked at her one last time, gripping the photos so tightly my knuckles turned white. Then I turned and walked out the door. I stepped out of the restaurant, my legs moving without thought, my body on autopilot. The night air was thick with the humid weight of a New York summer, the heat clinging to my skin. I barely noticed. The streets bustled around me. Tourists in sneakers, businessmen loosening their ties, a couple laughing as they hailed a cab. Life was continuing as if nothing had happened, as if my entire world hadn't just been ripped out from under me. I stood there on the sidewalk, gripping the envelope so tightly it crumpled in my hands. The photos inside bent and warped, but I couldn't bring myself to let go of them. They felt like proof, evidence that I hadn't imagined any of it, that I hadn't just dreamed up the most devastating moment of my life. I needed air. I needed to think. Without even deciding to, I started walking. Each step felt unsteady, like I was learning how to use my legs for the first time. My mind was screaming, racing, trying to process what had just happened, trying to rewrite my entire past with this new, sickening truth. They all knew. My parents, my sister, my friends, every person who had hugged me that day, every person who had congratulated me, smiled for wedding photos, danced at the reception. They knew. They watched me stand at the altar like an idiot, believing I was the first, believing this was the beginning of something real. I swallowed hard. My stomach twisted violently, and for a second, I thought I might actually throw up. I kept walking, past storefronts, past honking taxis, past strangers who barely noticed me. I didn't know where I was going. I just knew I couldn't stand still. I pulled my phone out of my pocket, my fingers trembling as I scrolled through my contacts. I hesitated. Who the hell was I supposed to call? Who could I trust? I clicked on my mother's name before I even realized what I was doing. The phone rang once, twice, 3 times. Then she picked up. Michael. Her voice was warm, gentle, as if I had called to chat about something mundane. Sweetheart, is everything okay? I almost laughed. I opened my mouth, but nothing came out at first. My throat was tight, my breath shaky. Finally, I forced the words through gritted teeth. You knew. It was a pause. The kind of silence that wasn't really silence at all. It was weighted, pregnant with unspoken words. Then she sighed. Soft, regretful. Michael, I felt something snap inside me. You knew. My voice was louder this time, sharp and unsteady. Jesus Christ, Mom. You stood there. You watched me marry her. You smiled for pictures. You gave a toast. She exhaled slowly. I know. I squeezed my eyes shut. How long? There was a slight hesitation. Since the beginning. My breath caught in my throat. Since the beginning? I repeated, barely recognizing my own voice. Honey, please try to understand. It was complicated. Complicated. I almost laughed again. The kind of bitter, humorless laugh that gets caught in your chest and never quite makes it out. You let me marry someone who was already married to my brother. My voice cracked. You stood there, Mom. You let me believe. I stopped myself, shaking my head. My grip on the phone tightened. Why? Another pause. Because it was what was best for everyone. I let out a short, disbelieving breath. Best for who? For you. I barked out a laugh, the sound hollow and ugly. For me? Are you actually insane? Honey, no, I snapped. Don't. Don't you dare talk to me like I'm a child who doesn't understand the world. I swallowed the lump in my throat. You, Dad, all of you, you let me waste 10 years of my life. You let me love her. You let me. I had to stop. I couldn't say it. I could hear the emotion creeping into my mother's voice. Michael, listen to me. We never wanted you to get hurt. I didn't even realize I'd hung up until I saw the blank screen in my hand. My fingers ached from gripping the phone too hard. My breath was uneven. The world around me was still moving, people passing by, oblivious to the fact that my entire reality had just been shattered. I shoved the phone back in my pocket and kept walking. I don't know how long I wandered the streets, but at some point, I found myself standing in front of an apartment building. Sam's apartment building. I stared up at the windows, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it. My hands clenched at my sides. I wanted to see him. I wanted answers. I wanted to know if he had ever once felt guilty. Without giving myself time to think, I walked inside. The elevator ride up to Sam's apartment felt like it lasted an eternity. My stomach twisted with every floor that passed, my hands shaking so badly that I had to shove them into my pockets just to keep them still. The photos were still clenched in my left fist, crumpled but not forgotten. Every time I blinked, I saw them again. Marissa in white, Sam sliding a ring onto her finger, their hands intertwined. I couldn't stop watching it. The moment the elevator dinged and the doors slid open, my legs moved on their own. I stepped into the hallway, the plush carpet muffling my footsteps as I walked toward his door. My heart was pounding so loudly I could barely hear anything else. And then I was there, standing in front of apartment 9C, staring at the numbers like they held some kind of answer. For a long moment, I just stood there. My breath felt too shallow, my chest too tight. My fingers twitched at my sides, itching to knock, to slam my fist against the door, to grab Sam by the collar the second he opened it and demanded an explanation. I wasn't sure what scared me more, what he might say, or the possibility that he wouldn't say anything at all. I raised my fist and knocked. A long pause. Then, slow, deliberate footsteps. The door opened. Sam stood in the doorway, barefoot, wearing an old Yankees t-shirt and sweatpants, like he had just been lounging around without a care in the world. His dark hair was slightly disheveled, his eyes bleary, like I had woken him up. For a second, he just looked at me, and I looked at him. A flicker of something passed over his face, surprise, maybe, or something else. Something unreadable. Michael. His voice was hoarse, quiet. What are you doing here? I stared at him, my breathing uneven. The photos in my hand crinkled as my fingers tightened around them. I didn't answer. His gaze flickered downward. What's that? I didn't realize how hard I was gripping them until I finally lifted my hand and shoved the pictures against his chest. Take a wild F***king guess. Sam hesitated for a second before taking them, his brow furrowing as he glanced down at the glossy images. And just like that, I saw it. The recognition, the understanding, the way his jaw tightened. He knew exactly what they were. And he didn't look surprised. My stomach churned. I took a shaky breath, my voice low, unsteady. How long were you going to let me believe it was real? Sam swallowed hard, still staring at the photos. He didn't look up. Michael, how long? My voice rose before I could stop it. Finally, he lifted his gaze. And in his eyes, I saw something that made my blood run cold. Guilt. Real, raw, unmistakable guilt. I took a step back, shaking my head. Jesus Christ. Sam exhaled, rubbing a hand over his face. Look, you don't get to look at me. My hands were trembling now, adrenaline coursing through me so fast it made me lightheaded. You married her. Before me. And you never King told me. He let out a slow breath. I was going to tell you. I barked out a laugh. When? On my deathbed. Sam ran a hand through his hair. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. I felt something bitter crawl up my throat. Then how the hell was it supposed to happen? He hesitated, and that hesitation told me everything I needed to know. I let out a shaky breath, staring at him like I was seeing him for the first time. Like the brother I had grown up with, the one I had defended, fought with, laughed with, didn't even exist anymore. Maybe he never had. I took another step back. Tell me something, Sam. My voice was quieter now, the anger curling into something darker. Did you ever feel guilty? Even once. He didn't answer right away, and that pause was louder than any words could have been. The silence stretched between us, thick and suffocating. I could hear the hum of a distant TV from one of the other apartments, the muffled sound of laughter from somewhere down the hall. The world kept moving, indifferent to the fact that everything inside me was unraveling. Sam exhaled, his shoulders dropping slightly. Of course I felt guilty. His voice was quieter now, like he was forcing the words out. Every damn day, I stared at him, searching his face for any sign of regret that actually mattered. That's supposed to make me feel better? My voice was sharp, but there was something else beneath it. Something raw. Sam glanced down at the photos again, his fingers pressing into the edges. He didn't answer right away, and that hesitation only made my stomach twist harder. I shook my head. You had 10 years to come clean. 10 King years, Sam. His jaw tensed. You think I don't know that? I laughed bitterly. Clearly, you didn't know it enough to tell the truth. Sam opened his mouth like he wanted to argue, but then he closed it again. He ran a hand down his face, exhaling through his nose. Look, his voice was quieter now, less defensive. I didn't plan for this to happen. That made me snap. You didn't plan for this to happen. My voice rose before I could stop it, echoing in the hallway. Sam, you literally stood there and said vows to her. You put a ring on her finger. You kissed her. How the hell is that not a plan? He flinched slightly, but I wasn't done. Were you laughing at me? My voice cracked on the last word, and I hated it. Hated how weak it sounded. Did you and Marissa joke about it behind my back? Did the whole family just sit around talking about what an idiot I was? Sam finally looked up at me again, and for the first time I saw something flicker across his face. Panic. No, he said quickly. shaking his head. It wasn't like that. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to. But how could I? Everything he had ever told me, every memory, every shared moment, every time he had acted like my brother, felt fake now. Rehearsed. I took a step back, my breath shaky. You let me think I had a real marriage. My voice was quieter now, the rage curling into something colder. You let me build a life with her. And the whole time, she was already yours. Sam winced like I had physically hit him. I wanted him to feel worse. I wanted him to hurt. I took another step back. Why, Sam? My voice barely made it above a whisper. Why did you let this happen? He closed his eyes for a brief second, inhaling slowly like he was trying to steady himself. Then he looked at me again, and his face was different now. Tired. Older. Because it was easier, he admitted. My breath caught in my throat. I blinked. Easier. He nodded once, slowly. Yeah. A bitter laugh forced its way out of me. Easier than what? Easier than watching you fall apart. I froze. Sam sighed, running a hand through his hair. You don't remember what you were like back then, Michael. But I do. We all do. What the hell are you talking about? He exhaled, shaking his head slightly. You were miserable before you met her. You hated your job. You drank too much. You had no direction. Mom and Dad were worried sick about you. He hesitated. And then, one day, you met Marissa, and suddenly you had something. You were happy. My mouth felt dry. That's why they went along with it, Sam continued, his voice softer now. That's why nobody told you. Because for the first time in a long time, you looked like you actually wanted to be alive. I shook my head. My voice caught, and I swallowed hard. That's not the reason. That's a lie you told yourselves to feel better. Sam didn't argue. He just looked at me, and I realized something in that moment. They really did believe it. They really thought they were helping me. I let out a shaky breath, suddenly feeling lightheaded. I had spent 10 years living a lie, and now I was supposed to believe it had been done out of love. My hands clenched at my sides. That wasn't your decision to make, I whispered. Sam looked away, like he couldn't meet my eyes. I know. I stared at him, my pulse pounding in my ears. I wanted to keep screaming. I wanted to hit something. I wanted to go back in time and undo everything. But I couldn't. I could only stand there, staring at the person I had once trusted most in the world, realizing I had never really known him at all. I stood there, staring at Sam, my entire body trembling. Not from fear, not from sadness, but from something colder. Something sharper. Revenge. A part of me wanted to walk away, to cut every single one of them out of my life and disappear. But the other part, the part that had been humiliated, betrayed, made to look like a fool for a decade, wanted more, deserved more. They had stolen 10 years of my life. I wasn't about to let them walk away from it untouched. I took a slow breath, forcing my voice to steady. You know what, Sam? He tensed at the way I said his name, like he knew something was coming. You're right, I said, nodding slightly. I was lost before I met her. I was struggling, and she made me happy. My lips curled into something that wasn't quite a smile. But you know what else she made me? Sam swallowed hard. Michael, she made me a husband. Legally. Publicly. I tilted my head. And last time I checked, bigamy's a crime. His face was drained of color. I stepped forward, closing the gap between us. So tell me, Sam, when do you think I should file the police report? His mouth opened slightly, but no words came out. I kept my voice calm, almost casual. I mean, obviously, she'll be arrested first. That's the law, right? But once they start investigating, your name is going to be right there next to hers. And when they start digging into the wedding records, guess what they'll find? He didn't move. I leaned in just slightly. That you knowingly let your wife marry someone else. I let the words sink in before adding. And the best part? Mom and Dad knew. Sam's face twisted. You wouldn't. I smiled. Wouldn't I? For the first time that night, I was the one in control. I let my words settle into his skull. Let him imagine his future unraveling in the same way he had unraveled mine. The disgrace. The public humiliation. The trial. The news stories. Marissa behind bars. Our parents are being dragged into the scandal. His life, his perfect little life, crumbling. And I wasn't bluffing. I'd already looked up the laws. Bigamy carried serious consequences. Even if they didn't get the maximum sentence, even if the legal process took years, the damage would already be done. Their reputations, their careers, their whole damn world, all of it would rot, just like they had let my world rot for 10 years. Sam's lips parted slightly, his breath uneven. Michael, we can fix this. I laughed. Actually, I laughed. Fix it. He stepped forward, desperation creeping into his expression. We can figure something out. I'll talk to Marissa. Well, we'll make it right. I took a step back, shaking my head. It's too late, Sam. He was panicking now. Just think about what you're doing. I have, I said simply. I turned to leave. Michael. I stopped but didn't look back. His voice was small now. Please. I let the silence stretch before responding. You should start packing, I said, my voice almost amused. Prison food isn't great from what I hear. And with that, I walked away. It took 6 months for everything to burn. Marissa was arrested first. The charges hit her hard: fraud, falsifying legal documents, bigamy. The mugshot was all over the news within hours. Sam wasn't arrested immediately, but he didn't get off easy. The investigation into his involvement dragged on for weeks, and when the final ruling came down, his reputation was destroyed. He lost his job. His friends disappeared. He went from my parents' golden child to their biggest disgrace. As for my parents, the fallout shattered them. They tried to call me dozens of times, but I never picked up. They begged for me to fix things, to stop this madness, but I ignored them. They had chosen their side a long time ago. Now, they could live with it. The last I heard, Sam had left the city. Disappeared. Marissa? She spent 2 years in prison before she was released early on good behavior. By then, no one in New York wanted anything to do with her. And me? I moved on, found peace. They stole 10 years from me, so I took everything from them.